The Mystery of Zhang Gong. Chapter 22. Wang Yan was unable to take it anymore. In the courtyard, he stopped Tao Zhoufeng, who was just about to go back home and eat dinner. "My lord, I'd like to appeal for a trial on Ma Lian's murder case." Tao Zhoufeng sympathetically looked at Wang Yan and muttered to himself irresolutely. He was pondering whether to tell Wang Yan his brother, Wang Xian, may have gotten involved in this case and had been reported to the emperor, and the Court of Judicial Reviews may be investigating this issue. Tao Zhoufeng had always liked Wang Yan. Nobody can choose their parents, although Wang Yan doesn't quite respect him, he was truly a capable subordinate. Tao Zhoufeng liked capable and hard-working young people the most, which young person didn't have some minor issues. Being a bit grumpy and haughty was not a big deal. Tao Zhoufeng thought for a while and decided to not speak about it. Instead, he feigned ignorance and said, "Then prepare the dossiers first. After I read through them, we'll discuss it tomorrow." Wang Yan firmly stood in his way. "My lord, I've obtained a piece of significant evidence. Please immediately permit for a trial." Tao Zhoufeng was put in a difficult position. There was suddenly a disturbance by the entrance. Secretariat Jiao and several yamen runners hurriedly rushed over. My lord, the grand dash." A group of guards escorting a person gallantly walked over from behind them. A purple robe decorated with a Kailan and green hills, an auspicious Cloudrouille belt, hidden dominance behind a mighty lion's beard, prowess within a pair of round, lion's eyes. Chief Minister Tao immediately cupped his hands in greeting. "Greetings to the Grand Preceptor dash." Before he could finish speaking, Grand Preceptor Wang seized up Wang Yan, raised his cattail leaf fan-like right hand, and struck him. "Unfilial bastard!" Wang Yan staggered back from the strike. Grand Preceptor Wang struck him again. "You undisciplined creature! Who gave you the guts to bend the law for your own profit and protect your brother?" Tao Zhoufeng was too late by the time he shielded Wang Yan, streams of blood were already dripping from Wang Yan's nose. Grand Preceptor Wang raised his hand and shouted, "Bring him up." Several guards pulled over a trussed-up person and forcibly knelt them to the ground. It was Wang Xian. Only then did Grand Preceptor Wang slowly and deliberately straighten his cuffs and said to Tao Zhoufeng, "Chief Minister Tao, please forgive my rudeness and for boldly breaking into the Ministry of Justice. I learned through hearsay that my unfilial son, Wang Xian, was involved in a case and my unfilial son, Wang Yan, came back home today to keep his brother informed, deliberately indulging him. So, I brought Wang Xian over. Lord Tao, please handle him however you wish." Wang Yan wiped his nosebleed while Wang Xian cried out with a trembling voice, "Father, I was framed. It has nothing to do with brother." Grand Preceptor was about to kick over but was quickly stopped by Tao Zhoufeng. "Grand Preceptor. This issue. I had no idea." Grand Preceptor Wang looked angrily at Wang Yan. "You even dared to conceal it from Chief Minister Tao." Tao Zhoufeng immediately said, No, it was me. With obvious evidence, this case needs a careful trial." Grand Preceptor Wang responded, "No matter. Chief Minister Tao, go ahead and trial, or better yet, trial this evil creature, Wang Xian, right now. Before then, take down Wang Yan and beat him with 60 strikes. I'll watch from the side." Tao Zhoufeng said, "I respect that the Grand Preceptor places righteousness before family. But," he looked at Wang Yan. "Assistant Minister Wang can't be beaten. He's presiding over a major case and has found undeniable evidence. This matter should not be delayed, I must hold a trial immediately. Grand Preceptor, please understand." Grand Preceptor Wang narrowed his eyes. "Oh? There's such a thing? All right. Chief Minister, please keep Wang Xian locked up in the cell. Wang Yan's sins cannot be forgiven either. After the trial, I'll beg for forgiveness before the emperor. This treacherous creature, you're better off beheaded." Tao Jiufeng hurriedly said, he can't be beheaded. Ma Lian's murder case is a serious matter and is impossible to unravel. If there's no Assistant Minister Wang, this case may become an eternal mystery. Grand Preceptor Wang flicked his sleeves. All right, for the sake of Chief Minister Tao, I'll remember his sins for the time being until the case is over. Afterwards, I'll ask the Emperor to behead you little bastards. First, lock Wang Xian in prison. Tao Jiufeng nodded. Yes, then we'll first put young Master Wang in prison. Unspecified currency. Zhang Ping, Qizhu, and Su Den walked to Ma Lian's courtyard together. Zhang Ping didn't speak a single word. Qizhu asked, has Brother Zhang reached a verdict? Zhang Ping lowered his head. Ma Lian may not have been from Shu County. The murderer knew Ma Lian. Qizhu revealed an expression of disappointment. You determined he wasn't from Shu County just from not finding any chili among the seasonings in Ma Lian's kitchen? There's actually a lot of people from Shu County who don't like to eat spicy. Su Deng followed up by saying, if you determined Ma Lian was familiar with the murderer because of the door, then it's quite illogical. On such a hot day, Ma Lian might have been bathing with the door open. Zhang Ping responded, Ma Lian wasn't taking a bath at all. He was put in the bathtub after the murderer killed him. In reality, he'd always bathed in the courtyard. The murderer didn't know this, so they put the bathtub in the bedroom. He pointed to the well. On a small stool was a soap dish. Beside it was a rope hung low for placing towels and clothes during a bath. Qizhu's gaze became interested again when he looked at Zhang Ping. Why did the murderer put Ma Lian in the bathtub? Zhang Ping replied, I only use evidence. According to the current evidence, I still can't make a judgment. Qizhu gently tapped his fan against his chin. Then what evidence did you use to reach your two verdicts? Zhang Ping lowered his eyelids. I know Ma Lian and had eaten with him before. When eating out, he only consumed rice. If he ate anything spicy, his face would flush and his lips would blister. There weren't any chilis nor rice in Ma Lian's kitchen, only noodles. He also used flaxseed oil. He was clearly by the well, yet he wasn't taking a shower, he was using a bathtub. Looking at the courtyard's ground, it must have been washed frequently with water, but the flooring within the house tended to be lightly swept. This meant after Ma Lian took his bath, he would use the bath water to wash the ground. He didn't change clothes every day. Ma Lian's clothes were washed every few days by the old woman living in the lane. He was a clean person, yet, on such hot days, he still didn't change clothes every day. Su Deng laughed. This is a Northwesterner style. Only, the way you're saying this is making it contradictory again. Since the murderer knew Ma Lian, how did they make the mistake of putting his bathtub in his bedroom? Zhang Ping replied, if they didn't know Ma Lian, why would they bother doing so? Su Deng shook his head. That's implausible. Zhang Ping went silent again. Qizhu said, just this isn't enough to find the murderer's identity. We don't know where his stack of silver banknotes came from either. Su Deng said, this is easy to investigate. If I hand this over to the Ministry of Justice's constable, I'll be giving him the opportunity to earn credit. There are many doubtful points about Ma Lian. I heard he managed to pass the imperial examination due to a recommendation from Grand Tutor Yun's disciple, Lu Bing Lord Lu. I shouldn't be talking nonsense about this. Zhang Ping lowered his head again. This student still wants to investigate the exam venue. Qizhu glanced at Su Deng. Su Deng responded, young master, it's not early anymore. It's time to go back. Qizhu smiled. No matter. It was fate who let us encounter Brother Zhang. Farewell. And so, they left Zhang Ping. Unspecified currency. After Lanju returned to his residence, he suddenly received a summoning ordering him to immediately meet the emperor. Lanju wasn't sure of the intentions behind this, but he changed into his court attire and hurried to the palace. Unspecified currency. Zhang Ping returned to his residence at Xiaohazi Lane. Although he'd already moved to the Lan residence, he hadn't discontinued the rent here. He took a tiered lunchbox and bought a few baked, sesame-coated pastries and half a bucket of soft bean curd for Chenzhou. When he arrived at the Ministry of Justice's prison, the guards didn't let him enter to visit. Zhang Ping took out some coins and stuffed them into their hands. One of them said, "Forget about it. Just this little bit of money isn't even enough to buy us a bowl of porridge. It's not that we want to swindle you, it's just the chief minister had finished trying him. He's the younger brother of the wronged scholar who drowned himself in the lake a few years ago. He already confessed during the trial. The brother of the person who got murdered for this case killed his brother. You think there's anything else they missed for this case? He's currently locked in the cell and isn't someone you can see whenever you want." Zhang Ping slowly turned around holding the box of food and walked back to the Lan residence. Unspecified currency. When he returned to the Lan residence, the sky had already turned dark and the main room's candles were brightly lit. It seemed Lan Zhu had just returned from the palace. Zhang Ping ran into Wu Shixin, who asked where he went. He also said Lan Hui repeatedly asked about Zhang Ping because he didn't see him today. Zhang Ping answered with a few casual words. When he returned outside his wing room, he saw a dark figure pacing around nearby. When they saw Zhang Ping, they walked over. It was Steward Sun. Steward Sun coughed a little and looked around before whispering, "Little Zhang, I told my nephew about your issue. He can get you into the examination hall early tomorrow morning, but not for long." Zhang Ping bowed repeatedly with cupped hands. "Many thanks, Uncle Sunday." The next day, when dawn had just begun, Steward Sun's nephew brought Zhang Ping into the examination hall. The spacious examination hall was completely empty. Official Sun said they were beginning to empty the rooms today, so the exam room doors were unlocked. He told Zhang Ping to hurry, he'll stay out here and be on the lookout. Zhang Ping nodded and quickly walked towards the exam rooms. He first went to the empty room where the weeping noises came from. There was nothing in the room, it was completely empty. Because it wasn't used as an exam room, there wasn't a table nor chair. Zhang Ping carefully looked around before leaving for exam room 356, where the examinee who suffered from epilepsy stayed. This examinee took the virtue exam. Zhang Ping inspected the room. In the end, he squatted down and looked under the bed. Afterwards, he went to the exam room he stayed at and also looked under the bed. Then, he went next door. At last, he went to exam room 14, where Molly Ann stayed. Zhang Ping had a doubt in his mind that needed verification from this exam room. Molly Ann was Ma Hong's younger brother. Grand Tutor Yun reversed a verdict for Chen Zishang and personally convicted Ma Hong to death. Molly Ann changed his household registration and arrived in the capital. Why did he seek connections with Grand Tutor Yun and receive a strong recommendation from his disciple, Lu Bing? A scholar was claimed to have died in Molly Ann's exam room, but it didn't seem any different from the other exam rooms. Zhang Ping took another look. Indeed, as he expected, the bamboo strips on the bamboo bed were the same as those in the other rooms. They could be removed. Only, the back of the bamboo strips had already been peeled flat. There was nothing there. Exam room 356 was the same. Yet, the ghost talisman carved under Zhang Ping's bed was still there. Unspecified currency. By the time Zhang Ping returned to the Lan residence, it was already noon. He sat in his room before someone suddenly knocked on his door. Zhang Ping looked out the door before quickly standing up and bowing. "Lord Lan." Lan Zhu smiled as he looked at him. "There's no need to be so formal. Because you requested a break these 2 days, I wasn't sure whether it was because your body is unwell, hence, I came to visit. Have you eaten lunch?" Zhang Ping replied, "I ate out." Lan Zhu said, "It seems you're still running around for Chen Chu's case. Have you found out anything? Zhang Ping shook his head. There's something I still can't figure out. I don't know why. Lanju rarely saw such a distressed expression on Zhang Ping's face and couldn't help but feel interested. His line of view turned to the sheets of paper on the table. What's this? They were the inscriptions Zhang Ping brought back from Chen Zishang's Memorial Hall. Lanju hadn't been to Chen Zishang's Memorial Hall before, so he picked up the sheets of paper and looked through them. Although Yuntang was the grand tutor, his calligraphy couldn't be considered top-notch. It was inconvenient for Lanju to comment on it, so he looked through Chen Zishang's sheets and exclaimed with amazement, Chen Zishang's calligraphy is quite unordinary. Strange, how could he write like this? Zhang Ping abruptly raised his head and grabbed Lanju's sleeve. How is it unordinary? Unspecified currency. Zhang Ping returned outside Zuyan Lane again. Under the tea stall, he paced back and forth repeatedly. The sun was setting to the west. When the tea stall owner was just about to drive him away with a stick, a cough sounded behind Zhang Ping. The youth, Chizu, smiled at him. Zhang Ping. Su Den was still by his side. Zhang Ping bowed. This student has an urgent matter. Su Den requested a private room in a tea house nearby. When they entered, he closed the door. Chizu said with a smile, whatever Brother Zhang needs to say, you can do so now. Zhang Ping fell to his knees and hung his head. Your Majesty, this common one wants to overstep and investigate some dossiers. Chizu stood up against the backlight and narrowed his eyes slightly. You really are smart. No wonder you could receive Tao's Hufeng's recommendation, even Lanju would speak up for you. How did you recognize Zhen? Conduct? Manner of speech? Or was it Zhen's pseudonym? Zhang Ping lowered his head. It was none of those. This common one recognized Lord Deng, so I guessed your Majesty's identity. He raised his eyes and looked at Su Deng. This common one had the honor to read about the major cases Lord Deng had solved and the book following the traces. I greatly admire Lord Deng. I've secretly seen you before from the Court of Judicial Review's entrance and Lord Deng's residence. Emperor Yongxian laughed. Deng Qing, turns out Zhen was the one who benefited from your association. No matter. Zhang Ping, you are a mere scholar with no scholarly honor. On what basis do you request this? Zhang Ping replied, this common one knows who the murderer is. Emperor Yongxian raised his eyebrows. Who is it? Zhang Ping answered with a deep voice, this common one wants to read through the dossiers for this year's imperial examination and 2 other people. End chapter. The Mystery of Zhang Gong. Chapter 23. Tao Zhoufeng sat within the palace of government holding 2 bamboo sticks, hesitant. He inscribed 2 marks on the 2 bamboo sticks. He weighed and fiddled with them in his hands. Should he hold a court trial? Or should he not? Just as Lord Tao closed his eyes and threw away the bamboo sticks, someone made an announcement outside. My lord, my lord. An imperial edict has arrived. Tao Zhoufeng instantly opened his eyes and rushed out the door, almost spraining his old waist. The imperial edict stated that Ma Lian's murder case was heavily involved with the haunted Lu residence's case and the Ministry of Justice must immediately halt the trial. The 2 cases will become one and will be trialed by the Ministry of Justice, the Court of Judicial Reviews, and the Censorate. Tao Zhoufeng breathed out a sigh of relief. Not long after, Lord Chancellor Shen from the Court of Judicial Reviews brought 2 official registrars for the 2 cases' dossiers. Lord Chancellor Shen cupped his hands in greeting towards Wang Yan and smilingly said, Assistant Minister Wang, please excuse me. As ordered by the imperial edict, in addition to the dossiers, we also have to bring back Brother Ling to the Court of Judicial Reviews. According to this dynasty's legal system, any suspects captured for a major case trialed by the 3 judicial ministries would be handed over to the Court of Judicial Reviews. Wang Yan responded with a poker face, Lord Shen, this is official business, there's no need to be so polite. Lord Deng personally accompanied the emperor to the crime scene, so he must have reached a verdict. You may take away any suspect according to your preference. Lord Chancellor Shen politely spoke a few more conventional words before ordering someone to bring out Wang Xian from the prison. Wang Xian had never suffered before in his lifetime. After being locked up in prison, he'd become unkempt and unshaven, and even his eye sockets had sunken. He was led by a few yamen runners with his head down, not looking at Wang Yan. Lord Chancellor Shen exclaimed with intentional surprise, "Aya, how are you treating young Master Wang? Quick, let him wash up first." Wang Yan coldly said, "How can you allow a suspect from the prison to wash up? There's no such rule in the Ministry of Justice." Wang Xian looked up and proudly said, "That's right. After I get out from this unjust verdict, I'll wash myself well. I hope the Court of Judicial Reviews won't make an error of judgment and miscarry justice." Lord Chancellor Shen smiled. This time, the three judicial ministries are trialing together. Neither the Ministry of Justice, the Court of Judicial Reviews, or the Censorate can convict you alone. Young Master Wang, please rest assured. Wang Yan frowned and looked at Lord Chancellor Shen, who was just about to leave. Why hasn't Lord Chancellor mentioned Chen Zhou and the other two scholars in the prison? Lord Chancellor Shen raised his sleeves. I was ordered to transfer only Wang Xian. Lord Wang, I take my leave. Unspecified currency. When Lan Zhu heard of the fluttering rumors about these two cases during the morning attendance, he also held doubts in his heart. This case began as just an examinee's murder, but now it turned exceptionally more complicated. What made him more puzzled was that on that day, Zhang Ping had hurriedly left before rushing back at night to tell him he wanted to take a few days' leave. Lan Zhu granted it. The next day, the steward went to Lan Zhu and told him when the kitchen's boy servant went to the rice stall to buy grains, he saw Zhang Ping carrying a cloth bundle as he rode out of the city gates on a donkey cart. At that time, the sky was not completely light yet and the city gates had just opened. The boy servant had thought Zhang Ping stole something from the Lan residence and was secretly running away, so he rushed back and informed the steward, who hurried off to tell Lan Zhu. Lan Zhu ambiguously said, "Ah, I know about this matter. Something happened back home, so he took leave." Lan Zhu couldn't help but wonder where Zhang Ping went and what he wanted to investigate. After Zhang Ping left, Lan Zhu was summoned to the palace. Emperor Yongxian was sitting on the dragon throne in Qinzhen Hall. Inside was a refreshing scent of ointment. Hence, Lan Zhu said, "You've recently been busy with government affairs. Please take care of your health, Your Majesty." Emperor Yongxian rubbed his temples. Recently, if it isn't the Grand Tutor, then it's Deng Qing. If it isn't either of them, then it's Lu Qing. Each time I want to goof off and take a nap, they'll come. Oh, that's right. Lan Zhu. How's Zhang Ping? Lan Zhu replied, "He took leave. It seems something happened at home, so he left the capital." Emperor Yongxian yawned. "Oh, Zhen thinks he's quite talented, it's a shame he failed the imperial examination. But this issue can only be discussed after the two cases have been solved." He wanted to enter the examination hall for a look, but it was inconvenient for Zhen to permit him. "What happened after I spoke to Lan Qing that day?" Lan Zhu replied, "He came into contact with my steward and sneaked into the examination hall for a look. It was I who didn't discipline the steward well. Your Majesty, please punish me." Emperor Yongxian raised his hand. "No matter. There's no need to make a fuss over such a minor issue." He yawned again. "How are the preparations going for Zhen's imperial uncle's marriage?" Lan Zhu didn't expect Zhang Ping to be so lucky. However, it's still unclear whether it's a blessing or a curse to get involved in this case. He just had to pretend he didn't know anything and refrain from asking questions. These two cases had been combined into one. After changing it so the three judicial ministries were trialing the case, because the Court of Judicial Reviews and the Censorate had to review the dossiers, anyone arrested had to have their statements of confession re-recorded and all evidence re-examined. In addition, the identities of all officers correlated with this case had to be filed and even the crime scene was revisited. The trial finally began after many days of delay. On the day of the trial, Lanju was busy examining the ziwa for Prince Huai's wedding. After the design originally decided was made and presented to Empress Dowager, she said it wasn't as beautiful as she thought and wanted to change it, causing the entire Ministry of Rites to suffer a crushing defeat. Note, ziwa, this refers to the decorations you see in traditional Chinese weddings. Lord Geng was old and couldn't run anymore, so entering the palace to present the designs and waiting for the Empress Dowager and Emperor to examine them was Lanju's duty. The Empress Dowager finally took fancy for a design, allowing Lanju to breathe a sigh of relief. When he was leaving the imperial city, he encountered the Hanlin Academy's graduate Wu Jingshen, who'd reviewed the exam papers with him. Graduate Wu asked him with knitted brows, "Lord Lan, has anyone from the Court of Judicial Reviews or Censorate come to find you?" Lanju was taken aback. Graduate Wu caught his expression and whispered, "Could it be Lord Lan still doesn't know? Who would have thought an examinee getting murdered would involve so many things, causing even you and I to find no peace?" Lanju responded, "I'm completely mystified. I hope Lord Wu can explain in detail." Graduate Wu sighed. The trial for examinee Ma Lian's murder case started today. The Ministry of Justice discovered that Ma Lian was the younger brother of the culprit behind Chen Zishang's case 6 years ago. The Ministry of Justice had arrested another examinee, Chen Zishang's younger brother, who they determined possibly murdered Ma Hong's younger brother as revenge for his elder brother. The Court of Judicial Review said the Ministry of Justice's judgment was wrong and the person who murdered Ma Lian is actually Grand Preceptor Wang's youngest son, Wang Xian. Lanju was taken aback once again. This. Graduate Wu looked at the distant horizon. The Court of Judicial Reviews found that at the time of admission into the examination venue, Ma Lian's conduct was slightly strange. At night, there were examiners who heard weeping from an empty exam room. An examinee experienced a seizure during the exam and was carried out of the examination venue. Lord Deng felt this issue was related to Ma Lian's murder, so he closed off the examination hall to investigate. Turns out, someone had made imprints under a bed in an exam room and it's suspected to have something to do with cheating during the imperial examinations. Someone had divulged the exam questions in advance. Ma Lian was able to succeed because he cheated. Fortunately, Lord Lan favored Zhang Ping and hadn't recommended Ma Lian that day, otherwise, who knows what would happen. Lanju responded, "It truly is fortunate. Only, on that day, Lord Lu strongly recommended Ma Lian. Examinee Ma's brother was convicted by Grand Tutor Yun, so if what the Ministry of Justice discovered is true, I truly can't figure it out." Graduate Wu sighed. Those who'd released the examination questions, Lord Zhu and Lord Gao, have been taken in by the Court of Judicial Reviews for questioning and Lu Bing is also powerless to defend himself. 2 venue supervisors are already in prison. An imperial examination caused such big trouble, if, on that day, Lord Li hadn't conceived a temporary scheme and didn't recommend that examinee call Zhang Ping, maybe there wouldn't be today's mess. He shook his head and left. The next morning, just after Lanju left morning attendance, he saw Lord Chancellor Shen leading a few official attendants near his sedan chair. Lanju already understood, so he smiled lightly as he said to Lord Chancellor Shen, "Is Lord Shen going to put me in fetters or monocles and leg irons? Do you want me to take off my official's uniform first?" Lord Shen cupped his hands. "I dare not. Today, the 3 judicial ministries will be trialing Ma Lian's murder case. There's one issue we'd like to inquire about and would like to invite Lord Lan as a witness in court." He personally lifted aside the curtains on the horse carriage and let Lanju get in before leading them to the Court of Judicial Reviews. Unspecified currency. The courtroom for the three judicial ministries' trial was arranged at the Court of Judicial Reviews. Lan Zhu entered the courtroom and saw Deng Su and Sen's orate minister Bo Yufan sitting upright within. Kneeling was Chen Zhou, Wang Xian, and the two other scholars. Standing was Lu Bing. Many officials from the three judicial ministries were ranked lower than Lan Zhu, so they made way for him with their hands by their sides. Tao Zhoufeng actually wasn't sitting with Deng Su and Bo Yufan, but behind a small table to the side with a downhearted expression. Wang Yan stood beside Tao Zhoufeng, his complexion slightly redder than usual as if he just had an intense dispute with someone. His nod and smile towards Lan Zhu appeared a little reluctant. Lan Zhu first greeted Deng Su, Bo Yufan, and Tao Zhoufeng before smilingly said, "I'm involved in this case, so there's no need for everyone to be so courteous." Deng Su responded, "Don't say that, we ask Lord Lan to act as a witness and have no intentions of seeing you as someone involved in the case." He ordered someone to bring a chair for Lan Zhu to sit on, but Lan Zhu stood opposite of Wang Yan and bowed. "If Lord Deng and Lord Bo have any questions, please ask." Deng Su asked, "Lord Lan, while the ministers were reviewing the examination papers that day, was Lu Bing's conduct abnormal?" Lan Zhu answered, "This subordinate didn't notice anything abnormal. That day, because Lord Lu Bing recommended an examinee, he had a slight dispute with Lord Li Fangtong. This is a common occurrence during reviews. Ministers selecting examination papers had always been like craftsmen selecting beautiful jades. If one encounters a particularly congenial paper, it's often difficult to part with it." In other words, Lord Lan hadn't noticed Lu Bing recommended Ma Lian because he accepted bribes. Lan Zhu frowned slightly. When reviewing the imperial examination papers, the ministers would always select the papers first before unsealing them to check the examines' names. In the past, the papers would be transcribed first. Later, because some examines' handwritings were illegible and transcripts were prone to omissions, the late emperor modified the regulations for no more transcripts. In the beginning, ministers won't know which exam category they'll be reviewing. Lord Lu reviewed the moral principles examination papers. At that time, it was this subordinate who almost reviewed those papers. Lu Bing looked at Lan Zhu, his eyes brimming with gratitude. Deng Su nodded. Then, "Lord Lu, I don't understand how you were so capable and managed to get your hands on Ma Lian's paper." Lu Bing stared at Deng Su. This subordinate can't understand either. Why does Lord Deng keep saying only I accepted bribes? When recommending Ma Lian, Lord Tao and the other ministers had all read his paper and knew he was quite talented. Lord Deng has no evidence, why would you slander this subordinate? Deng Su replied, "Since Lord Lu was asked to the courtroom, then we naturally have evidence." With a beckon of his hand, an assistant judge held up a stack of banknotes. Deng Su first took the stack of bills. These banknotes were used by Ma Lian to purchase rare curiosities from the capital at Hushang. Among his purchases was an 8-treasure jade elephant. "We found one exactly the same at Lord Liu's home. Your servants have already confessed and even the gift list is in our hands. As for whether examinee Ma's examination papers show talent." Deng Su picked up a key. Before the imperial examination, Ma Lian stored a box within a treasure study room. There is a date on the box's wax seal and inside the box is the ethics examination paper. Lord Lu may not know, but the ethics exam paper for this year's imperial examination was changed once. When the examination paper was initially released, Lord Gao felt it wasn't good enough, so he requested an imperial edict for another release. In Ma Lian's box is the initial exam paper. How could a mere examinee have a disused examination paper? The examinee in exam room 356 suffered from a seizure and happened to also be taking the ethics exam. How coincidental. The Court of Judicial Reviews had gone to investigate the epileptic examinee, but he'd already turned stupid and only had a mouthful of babbles. He couldn't even speak a complete sentence. Then, the Court of Judicial Reviews went to investigate the officials responsible for sealing the examination questions and discovered one had disappeared the day before their arrival. As for the weeping at midnight, a venue patrol from that time said a minor official heard bats in the vacant exam room but mistakenly thought it was a ghost and went in to check. He accidentally burnt the lantern and was chided by a venue patrol, scaring him to tears. All venue patrols from that night could testify. Deng Su knew there couldn't be such a coincidence, but there was no evidence, so he could only leave this issue aside for the time being. He picked up another stack of banknotes. This is a stack of silver banknotes and totals to a large amount. Ma Lian was merely a poor scholar, so it's impossible for him to have such property. Wang Xian, you should know where these silver banknotes came from, right? Wang Xian answered, upright and unafraid, I don't understand what Lord Deng means. Deng Su put down the silver banknotes. I already have a rough idea about this case's ins and outs. Young Master Wang, there is a ghost market outside the capital. You are the market maker and Ma Lian was your employee, furthermore, he helped you cause the haunted Lu residence case. This money was his reward. It's also because of this he managed to obtain the ethics examination paper, and send Lu Bing a gift and reap his recommendation. Ma Lian's murder was an act of silencing him. Wang Yan stepped forward. Lord Deng, this subordinate has an objection. What you said is just an inference. Since Ma Lian is Ma Hong's younger brother, why did he change his household registration and come to the capital? Spending money to buy the examination paper, bribing a minister, and leaving behind evidence would all threaten his future prospects. Why would he do that? Chen Zhou is Chen Zishang's younger brother. On the day of the incident, he happened to have time to commit the crime. He's obviously a major suspect, so why are you disregarding the Ministry of Justice's investigations and not mentioning it? Everyone in the courtroom seemed to have been caught in a deadlock. Wang Xian faintly said, Brother, don't contradict Lord Deng. Others will say you're shielding me. If I didn't do it, then I didn't do it. Does a person like that need me to commit a murder? I believe the Emperor and the heavens will uphold justice. Lanju couldn't help but think if he was Grand Preceptor Wang, at this moment he'd definitely want to choke these two foolish sons to death. He also wondered what the truth was. Ma Lian was Ma Hong's younger brother. He holds vengeance against Grand Tutor Yun for killing his brother. From the evidence listed by Deng Su, Ma Lian's actions on the contrary seemed to be like. The deadlock remained. Lord Chancellor Shen rushed beside Deng Su and whispered a few things into his ears. Deng Su's expression darkened. In the end, he frowned and spoke in a clear, loud voice, there's currently one person who knows the case's true culprit and its ins and outs. They have received the Emperor's imperial assent to enter the courtroom. Everyone looked at each other speechlessly. Lanju turned his gaze outside the courtroom and saw a travel-worn figure walk through the courtyard and stride in. After a few days of not meeting, he'd lost weight again. A visible red glowed through his tanned skin and his eyes had become more sunken, there was even a circle of dark stubble on his face. Chen Zhou immediately shifted with excitement, a sobbing tone in his voice. Brother Zhang, you're finally here. Wang Yan frowned and the other two ministries officials were confused. Deng Su said, Zhangping, since you obtained the Emperor's imperial assent to enter the courtroom, if you don't know who the true culprit is, you should know the punishment for deceiving the Emperor. Zhangping respectfully responded, this student understands. This student has already found out who the murderer is with undeniable evidence. Deng Su sneered. Oh! Great timing. The Ministry of Justice and my opinion are at odds with each other. I believe Ma Lian was involved in cheating for the imperial examination and was silenced for it. The Ministry of Justice says Ma Lian's death is related to Chen Zishang's case. I wonder which side the true culprit you believe is from. Zhangping raised his eyelids and looked at Deng Su before looking at Tao Zhoufeng and Wang Yan. Wang Yan snorted and turned his eyes away. Zhangping said, the result from this student's investigation is consistent with the Ministry of Justice. Molly N's death is because of Chen Zishang's case, not to do with cheating for the imperial examination. Wang Yan turned his gaze back at him with astonishment, Deng Su even more so. With a slight change of complexion, he said, "Zhang Ping, are you sure?" Zhang Ping spoke word by word, "This student is sure." He looked at Wang Yan once again. In fact, the true culprit for this case had long been arrested by the Ministry of Justice's Assistant Minister Wang and had always been locked in the Ministry of Justice. Chen Chu's complexion had already turned ghastly pale. Deng Su expressionlessly asked, "Who is the true culprit?" Zhang Ping answered, "The true culprit behind this case is a dead person." End chapter. The Mystery of Zhang Gong. Chapter 24. How could a dead person kill? Deng Su mildly said, "Zhang Ping, just state who you think the real culprit is. If you have evidence, list them one by one. In this courtroom, there's no need to deliberately act mysterious." Zhang Ping turned his body and pointed. "He is the culprit who murdered Molly N." Zhang Ping's finger was pointed to someone beside Chen Zhou. It was the other scholar who drunk by the lake with Chen Zhou that night, Lu Zhonghe. Everyone's expressions changed once again. Chen Zhou looked completely astonished, his mouth half open. Deng Su said, "Zhang Ping, the three judicial ministries' courtroom isn't a place for you to randomly point out a culprit. You say Lu Zhonghe is the culprit, what evidence do you have? You also said the culprit is a person who'd already died. Are you suggesting to me and everyone else that this person has another identity?" Zhang Ping lowered his eyelids. "I'm not eloquent. This case is too complicated, so I didn't know where to start. My lord can arrange for someone to confiscate Lu Zhonghe's possessions from his residence. The clothes he wore on the night he committed the crime and all other evidence should be at his home. They will be enough to prove my honesty. It should have been very easy to figure out Lu Zhonghe was Molly N's murderer. However, Lord Wang was too astute and the culprit miscalculated several people, leading to today." Wang Yan's face was completely green. Deng Su immediately ordered people to Lu Zhonghe's residence before speaking again. "Zhang Ping, although you have the emperor's imperial assent, we cannot tolerate you ridiculing Assistant Minister Wang as such in this courtroom." Zhang Ping raised his eyes with an upright expression to look at Deng Su, then at Wang Yan. "I was speaking the truth, not ridiculing Lord Wang. The culprit wished to be caught as soon as possible, so he deliberately left a lot of clues at Molly N's residence. I'm ashamed for not being able to speak properly." Wang Yan's face became increasingly more colorful. Bo Yufan smoothed things over, "No matter, you don't have to be nervous. Take your time." Zhang Ping paused. Only after sorting out the sequences in his heart did he continue, "When I was locked up in the cells, everyone was sharing their thoughts on why they were being suspected. I found a mistake in Brother Lu's story. He didn't seem to have any resentment against Molly N. Molly N never made sarcastic remarks about him, and the script mocking him wasn't written by Molly N. After Molly N became famous, too many major troops asked him to write scripts for them. In addition to preparing for the imperial examination, Molly N was only accepting money for the scripts to be his nominally, especially for the past half year." Deng Su asked, "If Molly N asked someone to ghost write for him, he definitely wouldn't admit it. How would you know if the script wasn't written by him? And why would Lu Zhonghe tell a lie that wouldn't benefit him?" Zhang Ping answered, "Brother Lu said he arrived at the capital last year in the 12th lunar month and got to know a lady. When they began discussing marriage, they were ridiculed by Molly N's script, so the matter dispersed. No matter how I calculated, the times just didn't match up. At that time, I also couldn't understand why Brother Lu would tell such a lie. If Lu Zhonghe didn't hold any grudges against Molly N, then he wouldn't be a suspect for killing Molly N. Typically, a criminal would lie to exonerate themselves, so why did Lu Zhonghe decide to carry the weight of suspicion for murder? So, At first, Zhang Ping thought he was wrong. He went to investigate Ma Lian's residence, then the examination venue, and became increasingly more puzzled. After I investigated Ma Lian's residence, I found an overt and a covered plot. These two plots could have led me to two completely different culprits. But clearly, only one person murdered Ma Lian. The overt plot was Ma Lian drowned in his bathtub. There were knife wounds on his body before his death. The murderer abandoned the murder weapon at the scene of the crime and Ma Lian's valuables weren't robbed. Such a ruthless approach indicated the culprit held a grudge against Ma Lian. They infiltrated his residence while he was bathing and killed him. Ma Lian's bedroom walls and latch were scratched. It must have been when the Ministry of Justice were collecting evidence. I'm guessing there are also traces of mud on the walls. Wang Yan nodded expressionlessly. That's right. There were bits of grass in the dry mud, which may have been rubbed off from the culprit. In addition, there were dried phlegm stains with food residues on the ground which smelled of alcohol. Either Ma Lian or the culprit could have spat it out. The mud marks could prove the culprit possibly came from a damp and grassy area. The dried phlegm stain meant the culprit may have drunk alcohol. On the night Ma Lian was killed, the most suspicious people who both stayed in a damp area and drank alcohol included the three scholars Chen Zhou, Lu Zonghe, and Han Huan. They were all drinking by Chen Zishang's ancestral hall. Wang Yan cupped his hands and cast a sidelong glance to the front of the courtroom. In the dossiers handed to the Court of Judicial Reviews, this subordinate also stated these doubtful points. However, Lord Deng kept turning a blind eye. Deng Su's eyebrows jumped. With an amiable tone, he said, "Zhang Ping, continue." Zhang Ping continued, "At first, the culprit thought that since the evidence was so obvious, the Ministry of Justice would definitely catch the three of them. These three all had grudges against Ma Lian and were suspicious. According to the typical methods of handling a case, their possessions would be taken inventory of and confiscated from their residence to remove any misleads. When the evidence was to be found in Lu Zonghe's residence, the case would conclude and the criminal convicted. If my words aren't believable, then I'll continue after the evidence is found. Lu Zonghe's home was quite far away from the Court of Judicial Reviews. Even if one rode a quick horse to and from it, in addition to searching it, it'd take at least 2 hours. Deng Su said, "No matter, you may continue. You said there were two plots that led to two different culprits. What's going on here?" Zhang Ping replied, "I said the culprit miscalculated several people, the first being Lord Wang. Lord Wang noticed the flaws, so rather than following his deductions to investigate the residences, he first collected evidence to support his speculation. Because the involvements in this case are far too complicated, this method failed to solve it." With an ashen expression, Wang Yan said, "I checked the bathtub and found something unusual about the bloodstains. It didn't seem like Ma Lian was ambushed while he was in the bathtub. Instead, it seemed as if he was dragged into the bathtub and drowned after he finished bathing. This is why I thought this case wasn't as simple as it appeared. These pieces of evidence couldn't be considered direct evidence, so I didn't hastily investigate them. I only detained the suspects and checked out their stories." Zhang Ping continued, "This student saw the covered plot. It is consistent with Lord Wang's inference." Wang Yan glanced at him from the corner of his eyes. "I dare not accept such compliment. I didn't manage to find the real culprit, so how can I compare with you? In this courtroom, don't beat about the bush, you can say things directly." Lanju had been listening from the side, finding the situation before him quite interesting. He was also confused by this case, but he knew Zhang Ping was right, because Lu Zonghe had been silent ever since Zhang Ping identified him as the culprit. His head was also hung down as he knelt, hiding his expression, which was as good as a confession. Zhang Ping said, "The covered plot is also quite simple. The culprit is someone Ma Lian was familiar and had a very intimate relationship with, so intimate Ma Lian would even invite him into his residence for a conversation. The culprit snuck an attack on Ma Lian in his bedroom, then fetched water and drowned him in the bathtub, making it appear as if he was ambushed when he was bathing. But the culprit never expected that Molly An usually bathed in the yard. Actually, after confirming this, it should have been easy to identify the culprit. Molly An was a cautious man. He hid a secret. He was afraid of being discovered, so even the old woman who washed his clothes weren't allowed to pass through his door. Who could possibly be so intimate with him to be allowed into his room? The atmosphere in the courtroom suddenly became warm and strange. The minister's expressions also became meaningful. Bo Yufan stroked his beard. It can only be his lover. Zhang Ping solemnly responded, it was definitely not his lover. If it was his lover, it's impossible for them to not know Molly An bathes in the yard. Bo Yufan was taken aback. Then who could it be? Zhang Ping answered, we can figure this person's identity by thinking over Molly An's experiences. Molly An came from a humble background. During these 5 or 6 years, he earned himself the title East Lake Lay Buddhist, clung onto the imperial tutor, and could even cheat in the imperial examination. Someone must have been supporting him. Who supported Molly An? When Molly An put together Feng Ruoqi's essays and began his career, who backed him up? Molly An behaved sinisterly and viciously, yet he could still stand straight with his head up. Who was his patron? Troop leader Kui was Molly An's first supporter, but during these few years, Molly An's constant support had always been from the Sixian bookstore. Wang Yan's eyebrows knit tightly together. He'd taken note of Sixian bookstore before, but his inference was different from Zhang Ping. He only paid attention to Sixian bookstore because of Gong Qinchuan and Feng Ruoqi's statements. Troop leader Kui was a highly profitable businessman. Molly An's first script was written for him, so supporting him wasn't wrong. However, Sixian bookstore was one of the capital's largest bookstores. Back then, Feng Ruoqi's fame was higher than Molly An's, so why would the Sixian bookstore choose to possibly offend a scholar who'd already gained some reputation by flattering a nobody like Molly An who plagiarized essays? Sixian bookstore is one of the capital's largest bookstores. With their influence, it's not surprising they could get Molly An connected with imperial tutor Wang. I specially went to investigate Sixian bookstore. The one in charge of Molly An's scripts is the second shopkeeper. The Sixian bookstore's main shopkeeper hadn't appeared for many years now, so the second shopkeeper had always been in charge. Rumors say the main shopkeeper had already passed away, so the bookstore was as good as the second shopkeeper's. However, few people have seen this second shopkeeper. Molly An's residence was rented by the Sixian bookstore, so he must have had an intimate relationship with the second shopkeeper. I speculate the course of events behind this case as followed: the culprit knocks on Molly An's door and Molly An receives them. Molly An stays with them in the study first. He enters his bedroom to obtain something, thus losing his life. This student believes it may be due to the tea leaves or teapot. When Zhang Ping investigated his kitchen, he discovered Molly An had boiled water and steeped some tea before his death. The teapot was in the study. The culprit took a cup away with him, leaving only one other cup on the table. However, there weren't any teacups in Molly An's bedroom. Of course, when the culprit arrived, he didn't bring a knife. The murder weapon was taken from the study. Hung on the white wall by the incense burner should have been a knife. There is iron on the knife scabbard, which is why there are traces of wear on the wall. If the Ministry of Justice discovered the murder weapon wasn't brought along with the culprit, maybe they would have suspected Molly An wasn't ambushed while he was bathing, so the culprit deliberately brought a half-worn scroll of calligraphy and hung it over the traces. Unfortunately, they made a careless mistake. There was no dust on top of the scroll and lanyard. When obtaining the knife from the table, they accidentally overturned the incense burner. The incense ash in the burner and emery at the bottom mixed together. Deng Su asked, "This does sound reasonable. But, why do you say the culprit is Lu Zhonghe? Isn't it possible the culprit shifted the blame to Lu Zhonghe?" Zhang Ping replied, When I was in the cell with Lu Xiong, I found traces indicating he'd been burnt by incense ash on his ankle. The culprit killed Molly Ann. After, they cleaned up the study and changed out of their bloody garments before wrapping them up. They left Molly Ann's residence after tidying up their appearance, hence accidentally leaving a piece of evidence. Deng Su frowned. What evidence? Zhang Ping answered, Molly Ann's comb and Lu Zonghe's head. Perhaps it was because of the weather. So there was some inflammation. There was ointment on the comb. Maybe Lu Xiong didn't take notice and neglected cleaning the comb, or perhaps he deliberately did this so the ministry could catch him as soon as possible. Lu Zonghe slowly raised his lowered head, a glint of astonishment flashing past his eyes. Yamen runners came forward and lifted the bottom of his trouser legs. Sure enough, there was a small burn mark on his right ankle. Tao Zhoufeng shook his head. This is truly outrageous. If Lu Zonghe has two identities and one of them is the Sixian bookstore's second shopkeeper, then wouldn't this be contradictory? He murdered Molly Ann, wanting us to think it is him but isn't him. I'm becoming more and more confused by our youth's thinking. Deng Su said, to say Lu Zonghe is the culprit is currently justifiable, but to say he is Sixian bookstore's second shopkeeper sounds more like a baseless and subjective assumption instead of a substantive confirmation. Lord Tao is right, why would he jump back and forth like this? Zhang Ping raised his eyelids and looked at Deng Su. Sixian bookstore orders scalp ointments from the Jishi store all year round. In addition, there are still several people who have seen the second shopkeeper. Before this case, the second shopkeeper already decided to sell the bookstore and even the contract had been drawn up. My lord can investigate this. I couldn't understand at first either, why would Lu Xiong do this? But then, something happened and I discovered another truth. Only then did I understand why Lu Xiong did this. It's because he's a law-abiding person. To kill is to pay with one's life. He'd premeditated Molly Ann's murder and already planned on repaying with his life. He didn't want anyone to discover the real reason behind his actions, so he created another identity. But in addition to Assistant Minister Wang, he miscalculated two other people. One of them is Chen Zhou. He didn't expect Chen Zhou to be Chen Zizhang's younger brother, causing Lord Wang to focus the investigation on Chen Zhou instead of suspecting him. The other person he miscalculated was Molly Ann. He didn't know Molly Ann's true secret, which had attracted the Court of Judicial Review's attention and, contrary to his expectations, allowed him to stay safe. Zhang Ping looked at Lu Zonghe, a trace of sorrow in his expression. Lu Xiong, Molly Ann didn't rely on Grand Tutor Yun and Grand Preceptor Wang's help. He didn't know the truth, he only wanted revenge. Lu Zonghe was startled. Zhang Ping shifted his eyes again and continued, Lu Xiong's secret is dash. Lu Zonghe suddenly spoke up. Zhang Ping, I'm begging you, please don't. Zhang Ping paused and looked at him again. Lu Zonghe wore an expression of indifference as he stared at Zhang Ping. I killed someone and I'll pay with my life for that. Those who deserve to die are dead. Since you know the truth, then you should understand as well. Please, I'm begging you, please don't say it. Zhang Ping was silent for a moment before he solemnly said, if I display thoughtfulness to the real culprit's reputation, then 2 cases and 3 unjust souls will find no peace. Lu Zonghe's expression finally changed into hopelessness. He suddenly closed his eyes and ferociously punched the pillar beside him. The Yamen runner by his side instantly held him down, forcibly opened his jaw, and stuffed a ball of cloth into his mouth. Sympathy and pity flashed through Zhang Ping's eyes. In the end, he stood up straight and, with a heavy tone, said, although Lu Zonghe is the culprit, he isn't the true wrongdoer. The true culprit died 6 years ago. If it wasn't for Lord Ian's reminder, I never would have expected the truth behind this and Chen Zizhang's case to be as such. End chapter.